Unit 2, Structural Organization in Plants and Animals. The descriptions of the diverse forms of life on earth was made only by observation through naked eyes or later through magnifying lenses and microscopes. This description is mainly of gross structural features, both external and internal. In addition, observable and perceivable living phenomena were also recorded as part of this description before experimental biology, or more specifically physiology, was established as a part of biology. Naturalists described only biology. Hence, biology remained as a natural history for a long time. The description by itself was amazing in terms of detail. While the initial reaction of a student could be boredom, one should keep in mind that the detailed description was utilized in the latter day reductionist biology, where living process drew more attention from scientists than the descriptions of life forms and their structure. Hence, this description became meaningful and helpful in framing research questions in physiology or evolutionary biology. In the following chapters of this unit, the structural organization of plants and animals, including the structural basis of physiological or behavioral phenomena, is described. For convenience, this description of morphological and anatomical features is presented separately for plants and animals. Catherine Esau was born in Ukraine in 1898. She studied agriculture in Russia and Germany and received her doctorate in 1931 in United States. She reported in her early publications that the curly top virus spreads through a plant via food conducting or phloem tissues. Dr. Esau Plant's Anatomy, published in 1954, took a dynamic developmental approach designed to enhance one's understanding of plant structure and an enormous impact worldwide, literally bringing about a revival of the disciplines. The Anatomy of Seed Plants by Catherine Esau was published in 1960. It was referred to as a Webster of plant biology. It is encyclopedic. In 1957, she was elected to the National Academy of Science, becoming the sixth woman to receive that honor. In addition to this prestigious award, she received the National Medal of Science from President George Bush in 1989. When Catherine Esau died in the year 1997, Peter Ryman, director of anatomy and morphology, Mesroy Botanical Garden, remembered that she absolutely dominated the field of plant biology even at the age of 99. This is Catherine Esau, and date of birth 1898 and date of death 1997. Chapter 5, Morphology of Flowering Plants. The wide range in structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperm shows such a large diversity in external structure or morphology, they are all characterized by presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant (or for that matter any living organism), we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptation of the plant to their environment. Example, adaptations to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. In bracket figure 5.1. 5.1. The root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicals leads to the formation of primary root which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the taproot system as seen in the mustard plants in bracket figure 5.2a. In monocotyledonous plants, the primary roots is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat plant in bracket figure 5.2b. In some plants like grass, monstera and banyan tree, roots arise from the part of the other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots in bracket figure 5.2c. The main functions of the root system are absorption of water and mineral from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to plant parts, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulators. Figure 5.1 Parts of a flowering plants. This is root system, primary root and this secondary root, and shoot system. This is flower, fruit, stem, leaf, node, internode and bud. Figure 5.2 Different type of roots. A. Tap. B. Fibrous. C. Adventitious. This is diagram of taproot. This is laterals and this is main root. This diagram of fibrous root and this diagram of adventitious roots. 5.1.1 Reasons of root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap in bracket figure 5.3. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is a region of meristematic activity. Cells of this region are very small, thin-walled and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to region of elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and mineral from the soil. Figure 5.3 The regions of the root tip. This is root cap. This is region of meristematic activity. This is region of elongation and root hairs. This is region of maturation. 5.1.2 Modifications of root. Roots in some plants change their shape and structure and become modified to perform functions other than absorption and conduction of water and minerals. They are modified for support, storage of food and respiration in bracket figure 5.4 and 5.5. The taproot of carrot, turnip and adventitious roots of sweet potato get swollen and store food. Can you give some more such examples? Have you ever wondered what those hanging structures that support a banyan tree are? These are called prop roots. Similarly, the stems of maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of stems. These are called still roots. In some plants such as the rhizophora growing in swampy areas, many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upward. Such roots called pneumatophore help to get oxygen for respiration. In bracket figure 5.5b. Figure 5.4 Modification of root for support banyan tree. Figure 5.5 Modification of root for A. Storage. B. Respiration pneumatophore in rhizophora. 5.2 The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seeds. The stems bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stems where leaves are borne are called nodes, while internodes are the portions between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main functions of the stems is spreading out branches, bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts water, minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the functions of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. 5.2.1 Modification of stem. The stem may not always be typically like what they are expected to be. They are modified to perform different functions in bracket figure 5.6. Underground stem of potato, ginger, turmeric, jamaican, colocasia are modified to store food in them. They also act as organ of perennation to tide over conditions unfavorable for growth. Stem tendrils which develop from axillary buds are cylinder and spirally coiled and help plants to climb, such as in gourds, in bracket cucumber, pumpkins, watermelon and grapevines. Axillary buds of stems may also get modified into woody, straight and pointed thorns. Thorns are found in many plants such as citrus, bougainvillea. They protect plants from browsing animals. Some plants of arid regions modify their stem into flattened in bracket opuntia or flazy cylindrical in bracket euphorbia structures. They contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. Underground stems of some plants such as a grass and strawberry etc. spread to new niches, and when older parts die, new plants are formed. In plants like mint and jasmine, a cylindrical lateral branch arises from the base of the main axis and after growing aerially for some time arc downward touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internode and each node bearing a rosette of leaves and a tuft of roots is found in aquatic plants like pistia and ecornia. In banana, pineapple and chrysanthemum, the lateral branches originate from the base and underground portion of the main stem, grow horizontally beneath the soil, then come out obliquely upward, giving rise to leafy shoots. Figure 5.6 Modification of stem for A. Storage, B. Support, C. Protection, D. Spread and vegetation propagation. This is a diagram of ginger, jamaican, potato, and this is bougainvillea sap, stem modified into thorns, and this is oxalis sap, roots arising from nodes. 5.3 The leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from the shoot apical meristem and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole and lamina. In bracket figure 5.7a, the leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures called stipule. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole helps hold the blood to light. Long, thin, flexible petiole allow leaf blood to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as channels for transport for water, minerals and food materials. The shape, margins, apex, surface and extent of incision of the lamina varies in different leaves. 5.3.1 Venation. Arrangement of veins and veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. In bracket figure 5.7b, when the veins runs parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. In bracket figure 5.7c, leaves of the dicotyledonous plants generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of the most monocotyledon. Figure 5.7 Structure of a leaf. A. Parts of a leaf. B. Reticulate venation. C. Parallel venation. This is a leaf structure: lamina, stipule, petiole, leaf base and axillary bud. 5.3.2 Types of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised, the incisions do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets of compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In bracket figure 5.8, in a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis. The rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached at a common point, that is at the tip of petiole, as in silk cotton. Figure 5.8 Compound leaves. A. Pinnately compound leaf. B. Palmately compound leaf. This is diagram of neem and this is diagram of silk cotton and this is rachis. 5.3.3 Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite and whorled. In bracket figure 5.9, in alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard and sunflower plants. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in calotropis and guava plants. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whorl, it is called whorled, as in Alstonia. Figure 5.9 Different types of phyllotaxy: A. Alternate, B. Opposite, C. Whorled. This diagram of China rose and this diagram of guava and this is diagram of Alstonia. 5.3.4 Modification of leaves. Leaves are often modified to perform functions other than photosynthesis. They are converted into tendrils for climbing, as in pea, or into spines for defense, as in cacti. In bracket figure 5.10a and b. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. In bracket figure 5.10c. In some plants such as Australia acacia, the leaves are small and short-lived. The petiole in these plants expand, become green and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plants, Venus flytrap, are also modified leaves. Figure 5.10 Modification of leaf for A. Support, tendrils, B. Protection, spines, C. Storage, fleshy leaves. This diagram of pea, this is leaf tendrils, this diagram of cactus, this is leaves modified into spines, and this is diagram of onion, this fleshy leaves. 5.4 The inflorescences. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internode do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produce different kinds of floral appendages literally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence, depending on whether the apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow. Two major types of inflorescences are defined: racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescences, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne literally in an acropetal succession. In bracket figure 5.11. In cymose type of inflorescences, the main axis terminates into a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order in bracket figure 5.12. 5.5. The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. It is a means for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds of florals arranged successfully on the swollen end of stalk or pedicel called thalamus or receptacles. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamen or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flowers may be actinomorphic in bracket radial symmetry or zygomorphic in bracket bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into 2 equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example: mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into 2 similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric in bracket irregular if it cannot be divided into 2 similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4 or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts, reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel, are called bracteate, and those without bracts ebracteate. Figure 5.11 racemose inflorescences. Figure 5.12 cymose inflorescences. Figure 5.13 position of floral parts on thalamus: A. Hypogynous, B and C perigynous, D epigynous. Based on the position of calyx, corolla and androecium in respect of the ovary on thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous in bracket figure 5.13. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers is said to be superior. In bracket example: mustard, China rose and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be the half inferior. In bracket plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flowers, the margins of thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber and ray florets of sunflower. 5.5.1 Parts of a flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls with calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Bracket 5.14. 5.5.1.1 Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flowers in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous in bracket sepal united or polysepalous in bracket sepal free. 5.5.1.2 Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be gamopetalous in bracket petal united or polypetalous in bracket petal free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped or wheel-shaped. Figure 5.14 Parts of a flower. This is androecium, gynoecium, corolla, calyx and this is pedicel. This diagram of calyx and this is diagram of corolla. This is androecium and this is gynoecium. Estivation. Mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in floral bud with respect to the other members of same whorl is known as estivation. The main types of estivation are velvet, twisted, imbricate, waxillary. In bracket figure 5.15. When sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin without overlapping as in calotropis, it is said to be velvet. If one margin of the appendages overlap that of the next one and so on as in China rose, lady's finger and cotton, it is called twisted. If the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are 5 petals. The largest in bracket is standard overlaps the 2 lateral petal in bracket wings, which in turn overlaps the 2 smallest anterior petals in bracket keel. This type of estivation is known as waxillary or papilionaceous. Figure 5.15 Types of estivation in corolla. A. Velvet, B. Twisted, C. Imbricate, D. Waxillary. 5.5.1.3 Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organs, consists of a stalk or filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers. The pollen grains are produced in pollen sacs. A striate stamen is called staminate. Stamens of flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth as in the flowers of lily. The stamens in the flower may either remain free in bracket polyandrous or may be united in varying degree. The stamens may be united into one branch or one bundle in bracket monodelphous as in China rose or 2 bundles in bracket didelphous as in pea, or into more than 2 bundles in bracket polydelphous as in citrus. There may be a variation in the length of filament within a flower as in salvia and mustard. 5.5.1.4 Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to a flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free in bracket as in lotus and rose and are called apocarpus. They are termed syncarpus when carpels are fused as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovule develops into seed and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation. Arrangement of ovules within ovary is known as placentation. Placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central and free central. In bracket figure 5.16. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and ovules are borne on this ridge forming two rows as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develops on the inner wall of ovary or on peripheral part. Ovary is one chambered but it becomes two chambered due to the formation of false septum. In bracket example mustard and argemone. When the ovules are borne on central axis and septa are absent as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of ovary and a single ovule is attached to it as in sunflower, marigold. Figure 5.16. Types of placentation: A. Marginal, B. Axial, C. Parietal, D. Free central, E. Basal. 5.6. The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic features of the flowering plants. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called a parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp and inner endocarp. Figure 5.17. Parts of a fruit: A. Mango, B. Coconut. This is epicarp, this is mesocarp, this is seed and this is endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as a drupe. In bracket figure 5.17. They develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp and an inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. 5.7. The seed. The ovule after fertilization develops into a seed. A seed is made up of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of radicle and embryonal axis and one in bracket as in wheat, maize or two cotyledons in bracket as in gram and pea. 5.7.1 Structure of a dicotyledonous seed. Outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and inner tegmen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. At the two ends of embryonal axis are present the radicle and plumule. In bracket figure 5.18. In some seeds such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. In plants such as bean, gram and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seeds and such seeds called non-endospermous. Figure 5.18 Structure of dicotyledonous seeds. This is seed coat, this is hilum and this is micropyle. This is cotyledon, this plumule and this is radicle. 5.7.2 Structure of monocotyledonous seeds. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seed of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called aleurone layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheath which are called coleoptile and coryza respectively in bracket figure 5.19. Figure 5.19 is structure of a monocotyledon sheaths. This is endosperm, this is embryo, and this is seed coat and fruit wall. This is aleurone layer, this is endosperm, scutellum, coleoptile, plumule, and this is radicle and coryza. 5.8 Semi-technical descriptions of a typical flowering plants. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. The description has to be brief in a simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habit, vegetative characters, roots, stem and leaves, and then floral characters, inflorescences and floral parts. After describing various parts of plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbols. In the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium and G for gynoecium, G down dash for superior ovary and G upper dash for inferior ovary for male and this symbol for female, and this is for both bisexual plants. In bracket plus for actinomorphic and percentage for zygomorphic nature of flower. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within bracket and addition by a line drawn above the symbols of the floral parts. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement and the relation they have with one another in bracket figure 5.20. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. The calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are drawn in successively whorl, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being in the center. Floral formula also shows cohesion and addition within parts of floral and between whorls. The floral diagram and floral formula in figure 5.20 represent the mustard plant in bracket family Brassicaceae. Figure 5.20 floral diagram with floral formula. 5.9 Descriptions of some important families. 5.9.1 Fabaceae. This family was earlier called Papilionide, a subfamily of family Leguminosae. It is distributed all over the world in bracket figure 5.21. Vegetative characters. Trees, shrubs, herbs, roots with root nodules, stem erect or climber, leaves alternate, pinnately compound or simple, leaf base pulvinate, stipulate, venation reticulate. Figure 5.21 Pisum sativum in bracket P plant. A. Flowering twig, B. Flower, C. Petals, D. Reproductive part, E. LS carpel, F. Floral diagram. Floral characters. Inflorescences, racemose, flowers, bisexual, zygomorphic, calyx, sepals 5, gamosepalous, valvate / imbricate aestivation. Corolla, petals 5, polypetalous, papilionaceous, consisting of a posterior standard 2 lateral wings, 2 anterior ones forming a keel, in bracket enclosing stamens and pistils, waxillary aestivation. Androecium, 10 didelphous, anther dithecus. Gynoecium, ovary superior monocarpellary unilocular with many ovules, styles single. fruit, legume, seed, one to many, non-endospermic. This is floral formula. Percentage, bisexual, K in bracket 5, C 1 plus 2 plus in bracket 2, A in bracket 9 plus 1, G down dash 1. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to the family are source of pulses in bracket gram, arhar, same, moong, soyabean, edible oil in bracket soyabean, groundnut. Dye in bracket indigo, fera. Fibers in bracket sunham, fodder in bracket sesbania, trifolium, ornamentals in bracket lupine, sweet pea, medicines in bracket mullithai. 5.9.2 Solanaceae. It is a large family commonly called as a potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics and even temperate zone. In bracket figure 5.22. Vegetative characters. Plants mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. Stem, herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem in potato, in bracket solanum, tubersome. Leaves, alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, extrapolate, Venetian reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescences, solitary, axillary or cymose as in solanum. Flower, bisexual, actinomorphic. Calyx, sepal 5, united, persistent, valvate estivation. Corolla, petals 5, united, valvate estivation. Androecium, stamens 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium, bicarpellary, obligately placed, syncarpous, ovary superior, bilocular, placenta swollen with many ovules axil. Fruit, berry or capsule. Seeds, many, endospermous. Floral formula, in bracket plus, bisexual, K in bracket 5, C in bracket 5, A 5, G down dash in bracket 2. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are source of food in bracket tomato, brinjal, potato, spice in bracket chili, medicines in bracket belladonna, ashwagandha, fumigatory in bracket tobacco, ornamentals in bracket petunia. Figure 5.22 Solanum nigrum in bracket McCoy plant. A. Flowering twig, B. Flower, C. LS of flower, D. Stamen, E. Carpel, F. Floral diagram. 5.9.3 Liliaceae. Commonly called the lily family, is a characteristic representative of monocotyledonous plants. It is distributed worldwide. In bracket figure 5.23. Vegetative characters, perennial herbs with underground bulbs / combs / rhizome. Leaves mostly basal, alternate, linear, extrapolate with paler venation. Floral characters, inflorescences, solitary / cymose, often umbellate clusters. Flowers, bisexual, actinomorphic, perianth, tepal 6 in bracket 3 plus 3, often united into tube, valvate estivation. Androecium, stamen 6, 3 plus 3, epipetalous. Gynoecium, tricarpellary, syncarpous, ovary superior, trilocular with many ovules, axial placentation. Fruit, capsule, rarely berry. Seed, endospermous. Floral formula, Br, that means bracted, in bracket plus, bisexual, P in bracket 3 plus 3, A 3 plus 3, G in bracket 3. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are good ornamentals, in bracket tulip, glorissa, source of medicines in bracket aloe, vegetables in bracket asparagus, and colchicine in bracket colchum autumnal. Figure 5.23 Allium cepa in bracket onion plant. A. Plant, B. Inflorescences, C. Flower, D. Floral diagram. Flowering plants exhibit enormous variation in shape, size, structure, mode of nutrition, lifespan, habit and habitat. They have well developed root and shoot system Root system is either taproot or fibrous. Generally, dicotyledonous plants have tap roots, while monocotyledonous plants have fibrous roots. The roots in some plants get modified for storage of food, mechanical support, and respiration. The root system is differentiated into stem, leaves, flowers, and fruits. The morphological features of stems, like the presence of nodes and internodes, multicellular hairs, and positively phototropic nature, help to differentiate the stems from roots. Stems also gets modified to perform diverse functions such as storage of food, vegetative propagation, and protection under different conditions. Leaf is a lateral outgrowth of stem developed exogenously at the node. These are green in color to perform the functions of photosynthesis. Leaves exhibit marked variation in their shape, size, margins, apex, and extent of incision of leaf blade in lamina. Like other parts of plants, the leaves also get modified into other structures such as tendrils, spines for climbing and protection respectively. The flowers is a modified suit meant for sexual reproduction. The flowers are arranged in different types of inflorescences. They exhibit enormous variation in structure, symmetry, position of ovary in relation to other parts, arrangement of petals, sepals, ovules, etc. After fertilization, the ovary is modified into fruits and ovules into seeds. Seeds either may be monocotyledonous or dicotyledonous. They vary in shape, size, and period of viability. The floral characteristics form the basis of classification and identification of flowering plants. This can be illustrated through semi-technical descriptions of families. Hence, a flowering plant is described in a definite sequence by using scientific terms. The floral features are represented in the summarized form as floral diagrams and floral formulas. Chapter end. Thank you.